And now, it's The Law Show on CL 650. A comprehensive look at everything you need to know about the law.
You just slip out the back, Jack. Make a new plan, Stan. You don't need to be coy, Roy. Just get yourself free.
That's a great song for today's show. Usually call it The Law Show. I'm calling it The Family Law Show. And David Halkett, partner at McQuarrie Hunter, is flying solo. Usually you have Sarah here or Leah, who are in the family law division there at McQuarrie Hunter, but you're here on your own. Now, explain to people what your little family law group is there and how kind of unique it is.
It is, because normally family law lawyers, they work together in their small firms. We're kind of unique in that we have an actual dedicated family law department in what is one of the largest firms outside of Vancouver. Mm-hmm. I'm the partner and I work probably about 96% family law. Every once in a while I do a couple of other little things. Sarah's about 95% as well, and then Leah's about half. And the three of us run the family law department there.
I'm going to ask you a pointed question as a layperson. Mm-hmm. What does it mean? Okay, so it's a McQuarrie Hunter LLP,
yep.
Limited Legal Partnership, right?
Limited liability.
Liability partnership. And how do you become partner? And what does that mean? Because we watch all these law shows on TV and so-and-so made partner, and how do you get there? And what does it mean?
Well, usually what it is, you become so valuable to the firm, they don't want you to leave.
Right.
You have your own, in effect, a partner's practice, so to speak, that it's portable.
So a business in a business.
Exactly. Right? You have your book of business to some extent. And that's normally how it is. You get to a certain experience level, and then you can become partner. And then there's the investment in the firm. So then you're invested in the firm.
So you're part owner is kind of how it works, right?
Exactly.
Oh, I see. Okay. So I always wonder what that means to be an associate or a partner.
Associate is they get a salary.
But it's no less a lawyer being an associate.
No, exactly. Just that they're not an owner of the firm.
Right. And usually what is the timeline? Is it 10 years usually at a law
It depends per firm. Some firms can be quite a bit longer. Depends on the person. A lot of people these days coming up don't necessarily want to be a partner. Not just at not necessarily at our firm, but in general, some they don't want the extra investment in the firm or the white hair from worrying about paying like 80, 90 people of
I see. So you have the expectations to bill a certain amount to keep the wheels moving, right?
Yeah, and of course associates have that as well. But yeah, exactly. You're the last ones to get paid. Everyone else gets paid first, and stuff. Right?
But then the upside is that if there's money left over, you get paid more.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So that's how law firms have been established.
That's how they've been around forever. There's some are just a loose association of lawyers that share office space, but we're actually a firm itself.
Okay. I always wondered that. Yeah. So I'm glad we found out. So when you have Leah or Sarah there and their associates, they're just as qualified as
Oh, yeah. They just don't have the same experience as me. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, they full lawyers. They can act on any matter that comes through the door.
Do you get any articling students wanting to come to your law firm for family law?
Well, we always have at least 2 articling students per year, plus we have some summer students, and they try to work in as many of the areas in our firm as they can. Family law, the difficult part about hiving that off is that there's the emotional aspect, and some clients don't necessarily want someone else to take care of their matter once you've been invested in them. Mm-hmm. But no, there's always article students that want to do work. Leah was an article student at our firm, and she had a desire to work in the family and the estate area, and that's how she ended up in
But you didn't. You didn't article in family law.
I articled at a firm downtown, and then I worked doing some student loan collections for a few years as a lawyer with a very other practice.
That must be a tough job being a student's loans collector, having been a student and probably had some outstanding loans.
I was fortunate I didn't have loans because law costs a lot less those. But yeah, it was interesting. Some of the high interest rates at the time. When I saw one guy once, the highest was 15 7/8.
Wow.
On $22,000 that he got a philosophy degree, and he was a barista because he couldn't get a job with philosophy. So
there's a lesson in there somewhere.
Exactly.
I'm not sure whether
he understood the world and could explain a lot of weird esoteric topics, but not a marketable skill.
No. And so obviously, did you choose law because it was, there are certain professions that you can make a good living at? You can be a doctor, lawyer, architect, or, a dentist, something like that. So what called you to law?
Well, I guess, like any kid born in Montreal, his main goal was to be the
Habs,
center on the Montreal Canadiens, right? And my dad had season tickets in the 70s there. So
Guy Lafleur kind of had that locked down, didn't he?
Exactly. Yeah. But I was never good in terms of drawing or cutting things or anything. So, going into medicine just wasn't for me. I was around 16 or so, and I just thought, law sounded like a kind of an interesting
Did
area.
you have any family members that were lawyers?
No, my dad worked on the Montreal Stock Exchange and the Vancouver Exchange, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom.
Because you do see a trend, families of lawyers, right? You do see that.
Yes. It's interesting when you see the names of new lawyers, when you get across some of our law magazines says, hey, I worked with that guy's dad, or that guy's dad was a judge or something, right? So, just like in anything, people follow in. You see football players, their kids are
playing,
football players. Yeah. It's like,
yeah. We didn't see a Lafleur playing, though,
no.
the Habs.
No, he was a goalie in junior, and I think he had a few other legal issues, so he never got that far.
So when did you leave Montreal and come west?
1980, just after the first referendum. My dad was transferred.
Oh, he said, that's enough.
Yeah, well, he was transferred anyway. It wasn't that he didn't apply to move. The firm said, do you want to come out and work on the Vancouver Stock Exchange? So he said, yeah, we'll do it.
And do you ever get back there?
Yeah, I've gone back a number of times. My sister lived there for the first 8 or 9 years. She didn't come out. She's 10 years older than me. So I went back. We used to go back and visit her. I've gone back to see some hockey games. I took my son to see a game, and he was in the Montreal Canadiens hockey school a couple of years, so we enjoyed that.
Well, I travel there quite often, and I love visiting Quebec. I think it's one of those things, for people out west don't go.
Yeah.
And I think they really should. Mm-hmm. And it is a real treasure, I think, in our country. We have this totally unique culture that lives in its own province and has its own food. Well, now they've exported poutine around the world, but it's such a wonderful place. I couldn't live there, though. Yeah, with the politics and the infrastructure falling apart, but it's as somebody who's been there many times, and you have, we should all visit.
Oh yeah, for sure. I remember my wife; she'd never been there. We went. We were married a year or so. We went and got off the airport where no more English. She goes, wait a minute, where's the English signs? I said, where have you been for the last 15 years in this country?
Yeah,
but it can be difficult and a culture shock for those who don't have any linguistic ability.
Now you went to UBC.
Yep.
Can you imagine the young David Halkett trying to get into UBC today? Isn't it really uber hard to get into now?
It can be, for sure. That's why a lot of students that go to a community college and transfer.
Yeah, they go to Langara and they do it through the back way, right? Yeah.
Yeah, because it's easier to get in the second year than the first, right? Sure. Even when I see the students who come through ours as article students, and I see what their marks were in law school or to get into law school, I'm thinking, I wouldn't have gotten in. Mm-hmm. It's just such a high standard now.
That's diminishing returns, right? Because marks isn't everything. You know that. I mean, I always say to people who, it's kind of different with professions. I mean, you would hope that everything you learn in dentistry school, you're going to practice. But a lot of, I'm sure, family law is learning on your feet.
Well, yeah. A lot of what we learn in law school, it gives you an idea how to think. I remember the old paper chase with John Houseman when he says, you come here a mind of mush and I mold you. And they teach you how to think in law school. And we, as lawyers, we see the world completely differently than a lot of other individuals do. But a lot of the stuff I learned in textbook learning, it doesn't transfer over because it doesn't tell you how to interact with a client. It doesn't tell you how do you handle the client who calls you at 5 to 5 on a Friday crying, when you've got to get to your son's hockey game, and how do you deal with her before you leave?
Well, how do you deal with your wife saying, why aren't you at the hockey game?
Exactly. It's, nothing... Because you never know in law what's going to happen when you pick up the phone.
Okay, so the young David Halkett's going to UBC Law. Mm-hmm. What would you tell your young self about what skills you needed to have it to excel at family law?
I would tell myself from 20-something years ago to listen more, to not just cut the person off and tell them that this is the way the result's going to be, because you have to learn how to say it in a different way. Don't try and overtalk the person. They need to talk and listen. That's something I learned just with experience as you went along.
And I'm sure the soft skills, right? You have. Do you think you must have gotten better at that?
Yeah, for sure. The first couple of years, you're more like a bull in a china shop. You come out of law school, you think you're God's gift to the profession.
I'm a lawyer.
Exactly.
I'm smarter than everyone else. Right?
And then you realize over time that it's how you manage their expectations. Don't tell them they're going to get $5,000 a month if there's a chance they can get $3,000. It's how you manage the expectations. How do you interact with them? how to report to them if something goes wrong, because sometimes things go badly in court. It may not always go the way you want. How to keep them more informed. It's not like you just give me the case and I'll run it kind of thing, right? And so those things you just learn with experience over time.
Now, I'm sure when you first started in family law, in the old days, they would have to phone and leave you a message and you get back. So has that open line of communication with your clients directly changed law?
It has. Like you're right. In the old days, you get those pink message sheets.
So-and-so called,
call back, and those. It's different because sometimes people expect instantaneous response. I remember when I first joined McQuarrie Hunter, now 13, almost 14 years ago, got this one client, and he'd send an email at noon, and he'd call me at 5 after, ask if I got it. And I'd say, well, yeah, but I haven't had a chance to read it yet, right? And people expect more instantaneous responses. Like, even when you go back before I started, didn't have computers. You sent a letter, goes by post, they get it back, they get it. You knew you had 2 weeks before you'd get any response. Now, you have other sides wanting responses like right away. So it adds to the stress of it. What I tend to do is, unless it's someone that I know has to be able to reach me for a very important issue, I'll give them my cell number, but they don't have my personal email address. When I go away on holiday, I don't have my work email on my phone, and I figure...
You don't take your laptop with you?
No. Sarah, Leah can handle it, or my assistant can handle it, and she knows how to reach me. It's not like I'm totally incommunicado, but
if it's an emergency, they'll get hold of you.
Exactly. When and how I think is if I was to drop dead tomorrow, the firm would continue. Mm-hmm. These clients would get serviced, and I need my 2 or 3 weeks away. My wife sometimes goes the other way and does work, and then she says that she's too I haven't had a break. It's like, well, it's kind of on you, isn't it? Mm-hmm. But, I want to, when I go to my son's game, I want to be able to watch the game. When we go away on a holiday, I want to be able to be there and
well, even though you're a lawyer, you're human too, right?
Exactly.
You've heard all the, you've heard all the jokes.
So they tell me anyway.
There is blood coursing through those.
Exactly.
Yeah, you must have heard all the lawyer jokes.
Oh, I've heard them all.
You've written a few yourself.
Yeah, or I could anyway.
David Halkett is our guest here today from McQuarrie Hunter. We're talking about family law on The Law Show, and we'll pick it up next on CL 650.
There's more of the show still ahead. This is The Law Show on CL 650.